We're now going to look at musculature organization. So you guys remember axial and appendicular skeleton, so that's how we're going to look at our muscles. First, we'll look at axial musculature, which moves the axial skeleton, specifically the head and the spinal column. Then we'll look at appendicular musculature, which moves the appendicular skeleton, so basically all of your limbs. Today we're going to go through axial musculature. So we're going to look at 4 groups of axial muscles. Basically, 1, muscles that move the head and neck, 2, muscles that move the vertebral column, 3, muscles that move the thoracic and abdominal pelvic cavities, and then finally we'll look at the perineum and pelvic diaphragm. So the head and neck, we're basically going to go through our list and look at the muscles that we need to know in lab. So we will be going through this in lab if we haven't gone through it already. So this is going to be a quick overview for what we'll look at. So let's just try and look at this question. Take a look at all of the muscles and guess which one is going to cause you to smile. A, up here on the forehead, B, around the eye, C, right here connected to the zygomatic bone, or D, right in here. So the answer is C. And if you take a look at where the muscle is attached, you've got the zygomatic bone at the origin and the insertion into the corner of the mouth. So when this muscle contracts, it actually pulls the corner of the mouth up, causing you to smile. So this is just an example of how you can look at the location of the muscles and use that to guess the action. So let's go through and look at our head and neck muscles. So I'm going to show you guys and we're going to go through right now the muscles that move the face, so the ones for facial expression. So we're going to go through these right here, and then we'll give the action. We're going to start off with a muscle called epicranius, or sometimes it's called occipital frontalis. This consists of 2 muscles, one frontalis, which is on the frontal bone, and 2 occipitalis, which is on the occipital bone. The origin of these muscles are on the occipital bone in the back, and the insertion is the skin around the eye. So when you contract this muscle, the action is that it actually raises the eyebrow, lifting it up towards the back where the occipital bone is. On top, you can see this structure called the epicranial aponeurosis. It's a broad, thin sheet of connective tissue that connects frontalis to occipitalis and basically covers the entire top part of your scalp. So I put this picture over here because this is a classic example of your epicranius working, raising the eyebrows. Next, we have orbicularis oculi. So oculi refers to eye, and orbicularis, you see the word orbit in there, refers to orbiting or circling. So orbicularis oculi encircles the eye, goes all the way around. You got one in the left eye and then one on the right eye. So the origins are the frontal and maxilla bones, so frontal bone on the top, maxilla bone on the bottom, and the insertions on the eyelid. So when you contract your orbicularis oculi, it actually causes your eye to close or for you to blink. Next, we have orbicularis oris. So oris refers to mouth, so orbicularis meaning circling around, so the entire mouth. The origin is near the mouth, and the insertion is on the skin of the lip. So when you contract orbicularis oris, it actually causes your lips to close and protrude outward, or like a puckering or kissing look. Next, we have the buccinator. The buccinator is a very deep muscle in here, right by the cheek. And so see when you are next to the skull, you see the buccinator right here. The buccinator's origins on the maxilla above and the mandible below. So you can see maxilla on the top, mandible below, and the insertion is actually on the muscle we just saw with the orbicularis oris. Now the buccinator is interesting because it's actually an action that's used to compress the cheeks and blow air out. So for example, people who play wind instruments have really strong buccinators. They're constantly compressing the cheeks and blowing air out. For us normal people, it's also what allows the air to kind of push out when you're talking or chewing so that you don't constantly bite down on the inside of your cheek. Next, we have zygomaticus major, and this is actually the muscle we saw in the first question I asked you about asking which muscle causes you to smile. So this muscle origin is on the zygomatic bone at the top, and again it inserts into the corner of the mouth so that when you contract it, the corners of your mouth raise, causing you to smile. Next, we have platysma. Now, platysma is not on your list because it is an extremely superficial muscle. So all of the models we look at in class will have platysma removed so we can see the neck muscles below it. Platysma wraps all the way around the anterior portion of your neck. So you can see it here on the right side. And then again on this side, platysma is removed so you see the muscles underneath it. Here on a side view, you see platysma again wrapping around your entire neck. So the origin is the fascia of the upper chest. So down here is connected to the fascia of the muscle, and then the insertion is actually the mandible below. So when you contract platysma, think of your mandible actually lowering to your chest. And so it gives you that expression of fear. So I'm not sure if you guys were around to see Scary Movie, it's pretty old, but basically all of these people here, well, with the exception of this guy, are using their platysma, showing that feared expression, basically lowering the mandible. Alright, going back to our muscle list, so we just went through all of these muscles that move the face. Notice you don't need to know the origin and insertion for these, but you will need to know the action. Next, we're going to go to muscles for mastication. So we're going to look at temporalis and the masseter. Alright, so muscles for mastication. Let's look at temporalis. So based on the name, remember one of the hints is a lot of times muscles are named after the bone they cover. So temporalis covers your temporal bone. The origin is actually on the temporal bone up here, and the insertion is on the mandible. So here's your mandible, and it's actually on the coronoid process. Remember, this is the part underneath here that projects out. This is the mandibular condyle, and the coronoid process is right here. So when you contract your temporalis, it basically moves your jaw up, or raises the mandible, or elevates the mandible. So you can actually, when you chew, if you just put your hands on temporalis on the side, you can feel the temporalis muscle moving. All right, the next muscle for mastication is extremely important. It's called the masseter. And I have this picture here of Mike Tyson, a famous boxer, who is actually in a fight with Evan Holyfield. And in this fight, Mike Tyson actually bites off part of Holyfield's ear. Now, how is he able to do that? Mike Tyson was using his masseter, which goes right over the ramus, this really powerful muscle that is probably the most powerful muscle in your body. And the force of it is so strong that it can actually allow someone to bite someone's ear off. So let me show you this clip really briefly.
Oh, and some nasty stuff in there. There needs to be a bite almost. Holyfield is very unhappy. Look at this. 1 point deduction for Tyson. 1 point deducted from Mike Tyson for biting Holyfield's ear. Now let's take a look again.
It's just here. He gets into the position there. Watch. You see, he sneers there. There, he bites him there. You see him lift his teeth.
So let's look at this muscle. This muscle is called the masseter, and it basically goes across the ramus. So you can see the origins up at the zygomatic bone, and the insertion is on the bottom of the ramus on the mandible. So if you just put your hands over your ramus, basically on the sides of your jaw, and start to chew, you can feel the masseter moving. You can feel it closing the jaw and elevating the mandible. And again, this is such a powerful muscle. I mean, kids know it, right? I'm sure you guys have all been bitten by a kid at one point in the time because the kid knows that that's a powerful tool. And again, that's the masseter. So I posted online videos to help you review the muscles, but there's actually a good video that points out the muscle and explains muscles of the head, neck, and face. So you can go to Canvas and look at muscle videos for lab. We'll move on and look at some of the other muscles that aren't on our list but are also important. So you have, of course, muscles that help move your tongue, and you'll notice a lot of them are beneath the tongue. And you have muscles down here that are for the neck and throat, and they help you swallow. So these are all deep. Now moving back to muscles that are on the list, you have muscles for the head and neck. So we're going to take a look at one called the sternocleidomastoid. Now it seems like a mouthful, but you can actually break it down into 3 parts. We've got sterno, which stands for the sternum, which is one of the organs down here. We have cleido, which stands for clavicle, another one of the organs down here. And then we have mastoid. And mastoid is for the insertion, which is for the mastoid process on the temporal bone. So you can see it all coming up here to that little bump, protrusion right behind your ear. So remember I told you that mastoid process is important because it connects the muscles that help you move the head and neck. And so this is the muscle right here, the sternocleidomastoid. So what it does is if you actually use both of your sternocleidomastoids at the same time, so on the right and the left, remember the insertion, the mastoid process of the temporal bone, so that has to move. So if you move and contract both of them, your head is going to move down. So it's almost like you're praying, and they call this flexing the neck or closing the angle between your neck and the chest. Now, if you only move one of your sternocleidomastoids, for instance, let's just say the one on the right, what it's going to do is going to pull your head to that one side. Now let's look for a muscle on the opposite side of the neck, splenius. So splenius is on the posterior side. It is right here on the back. The origin is actually on your cervical and thoracic vertebrae, so the higher vertebrae, and the insertion goes onto the occipital bone. So imagine if you contract your splenius, the occipital bone is the insertion, so that's the one that's going to move. So it's basically going to pull your head back. Or in other words, we say it extends the neck. Now, just like sternocleidomastoid, if you only contract the splenius on your right side, it's going to rotate the neck and the head to the right. Or if you only contract splenius on your left side, it'll rotate the neck and head to the left. So we just covered these muscles that move the head and neck, sternocleidomastoid and splenius. Notice that their actions are opposite. Sternocleidomastoid flexes the neck and pulls the head to the front, whereas splenius extends the neck and moves the head back. So when they have opposite actions, remember this would be a classic example of an agonist-antagonist pair. And again, notice the agonist-antagonist pair on opposite sides. So just to make sure you guys just understood what we talked about, sternocleidomastoid and splenius are A, agonist and antagonist, B, both agonists, C, both antagonists, or D, synergists. And again, they would be agonist-antagonist pairs because they have opposite actions.